My name is James Adlam, and I have the honor of being able to have this conversation with all of you. For those of you that have not had a chance to meet, I love the fact that I get to work with incredible people, meet incredible people, and we get to highlight. So every now and then I have the ability to highlight someone that's just really doing some extraordinary things. And I think there's so much value in having a chance to hear the way certain people who've achieved levels of success in their life, how they think, because it's just different, right? So the gentleman I want to introduce you to is Mr. Shannon Reed. He's a multiple business owner. I'm going to have him share his background, but man, I just want to say, Mr. Reed, thank you very much for taking your time to hop on and do this with me. I know that you're about to give tremendous value to people that are listening. So if you could just do me a favor and share your background, I mean, where you're from, what do you do, that kind of thing, that'd be great.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, first things first, it's a pleasure to be able to be on here just to share my story and just talk to just individuals. Again, hopefully somebody will get something out of this, as you said. But again, my name is Shannon Reed. I'm out of the Philadelphia area. Back when I was an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for several years. Probably got started around the age of about 21ish into entrepreneurship, and it's just been one I didn't really take orders too well, but then I was kind of thrusted into because I just always thought bigger. I was kind of thrusted into entrepreneurship, and it was just I knew that was my home.
Yeah, so you started your first business at 21. What was it? What'd you do? What did you do at 21?
So at 21, I got into processing mortgage returns, and that's where I started out at. And I ended up plugging into and met some remarkable individuals in the real estate industry as well in that process, and eventually kind of shifted over to real estate as well. But yep, started out processing mortgage returns, which was very unique, very different to say the least.
So when did you know? Like, because I think like entrepreneurs just like people just kind of know, right? When did you know that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
So, goodness, traffic. So for me, I guess it was kind of early on my end, just from a standpoint when I went out, tried to get jobs, and had worked for a little while, and again, like I said, really just kind of knew it wasn't for me. But I always knew growing up that I thought differently. I knew I was different, and not in a weird way, but I used to, me being around people, hearing other people's conversations, it just a lot of their conversations didn't resonate with me. So I always knew I thought differently. I never was a person to put limitations on myself. And even as a young kid, when somebody said I can, it was like it would burn my ears. So so when I got older into the 20s and like I said, started working, and then I said no, that wasn't for me. Then I just started. My grandfather, he was an entrepreneur, so it's actually in our bloodline. And my father, he owned a business as well, so it was kind of in the bloodline anyway. But definitely for me, it was pretty early when I just knew I thought differently, and that's really what it was. I would just hear conversations with people, and just I knew, okay, if they're thinking like that, and I'm hearing so many people think like that, and I don't think that way. Honestly, I thought I was kind of strange growing up, to be honest with you.
Remember that story of the ugly duckling, right? And ended up being a swan. Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. So one of the things I know about you is your dedication to family, and I know that you really took the reins early. If you could like explain like what like how you did what you've been able to do with regards to taking the reins in your household, I think that'd be very, very powerful for people.
So for me, I lost my mother when I was 13. I was the youngest of four boys. I lost my mother because I was 13 years old. So that was a lot, especially for a young person. I'm just being honest. I was a mama's boy, so I was a baby boy. So I mean that it really it took a lot out of me, but at the same time, it made me strong. So I know my mother. I got the whole family thing from my mother because everything she did for her children. And my brother, who's just above me, he suffered from sickle cell. And my mother did everything, for her boys that she, could, being a single mother, and literally I mean, any sacrifice she made, I just learned sacrifice from her. I learned hard work from her. So a lot of that stuff is just things that I seen at a very young age she did. So when she passed away, and my brother, having sickle cell when I was a child, sometimes when I was younger, he would have to, when he missed school, sometimes I would have to stay home with him if we didn't have anybody else. My mother had to go to work. So that was just something that was just kind of natural, for me. And then when my mother passed away, I knew my brother would be in a situation where, didn't much change. He suffered from sickle cell. And with the disease, you never know when they can take ill or get sick. So for me, it was just, I'd already been taking care of my brother, for the most part, even though he was a little older. But that's just what I was used to. That's what I always see my mother do and my grandmother do. So, and it just again, just became like second nature, So for me, family has always been first. It's just if somebody's, and I always looked at it, if somebody had to do it, it had to be me anyway. And that's really the way I looked at it, because that's the way it kind of was when I was growing up.
So you were 13. You were the youngest, but you're leaving school to take care of your brother. So do you think that do you feel like there's any type of a connection in terms of wanting to do your own thing, and then when you were a kid, like having to do your own thing in a way? Because right when you were a kid, you kind of had to do what you had to do. Do you think there's a connection there?
So it's funny that you say that, because I often always said I did what I had to do. And I guess they kind of run together, doing what you have to do and doing what you want to do at the same time. Because for me, I was so used to doing what I had to do that when I was kind of thrusted into this position, when my mother passed away, and never knowing my brother would get sick, and just a lot of stuff that we went through, just growing up, it went from doing what I had to do to wanting to do. Say, okay, all right, I had to do this. Now, okay, this is what I had to do, but now this feels natural. This feels good. This is what I want to do. And just being able to have the time to be able to be, there for my, my brother, and then a little while after had children as well. So it just kind of ran hand in hand. Everything just with, my brother, then my children, and like I said, I just picked up all the stuff, from my mother, just as the woman that she was and raised us to be. Even in that 13 years, sometimes amazing, even though, and I think it says a little bit of time, but in the 13 years of my life, the lessons that she taught and the things that I picked up was absolutely phenomenal, because those things in those 13 years literally molded me to who I am now, who I was growing up, and who I'm going to be in the future.
Wow. So I know you're just celebrating a birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
There are people that will have a chance to look at this, right? And maybe they've been through something, whatever that something is. But sometimes people go through something, but it like paralyzes them. It shuts them down emotionally or mentally. How were you able to take what happened for you at such a young age, and it almost seems like it was a fuel? How were you able to convert to fuel when some other people might have something not like that experience, but some experience, and it just kind of puts a brakes on everything for them?
Got it. Yeah. Just one thing. Just growing up, in the city streets of Philadelphia, you could easily get sucked into a lot of negative things and just wrong things. And my mother being the woman that she was, one thing that I could say I took away and learned just growing up as a child is you make your own decisions. Just period. You make your own decisions. And when I looked at things that happened to me negatively, and look at things, experience with my mother and just other things that happened in my life, I just looked at it. Okay, I can look at it two ways. I can either let it be a crutch, or I can let it build me. That's the same way when I talk about people. Somebody may have saw, their parents being abused growing up, and then one person's mentality will say, okay, hey, listen, that's how you're supposed to treat women, or that's how you're supposed to treat a man in that abusive relationship. But then you have the same person that says, when they see it, even though they don't know better, they say that's not what you're supposed to do. And for me, when I saw things, and the way I looked at them was, this happened. It's not going to be a crutch to me, but that's just a lesson learned. It's not going to go that direction. So I just took everything really for me was just really a learning experience, everything that I went through. And I just wanted to build off everything, every adversity that I went through. I could have made an excuse, and I don't believe in making excuses. I really don't, because I didn't watch my mother make excuses when she could have, raising 4 boys, going back and forth to work. And, even when she was sick, passing away of cancer, she didn't make any excuses then either. So, just watching her, even though we didn't have the conversations, I just didn't believe in making excuses. When I saw something or a situation happen, it was just, I got to make it happen. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And that's just the way I looked at everything.
It's going to be, it's up to me. So, and man, I appreciate your transparency, because sometimes when you see people and they've done something for themselves, sometimes you look and it looks like everything is rosy and they've never had it, like, they were just they woke up great and they were bathed in cologne or perfume or whatnot. And I appreciate you really sharing. So for the people that may look at this and they have a desire for more, but maybe they haven't pursued it, maybe they tried it, didn't work out the first time. For someone who's run multiple companies, what would you say to those people that they have it, it's just not manifested yet, so to speak? What would you say to them?
Well, one of the biggest things is, just do it. That's the Nike thing, just do it. I know a lot of people, they get caught up into, unfortunately, when people get their first job, they're already getting trained mentally, to work from someone, to take orders, things of that nature. So then for them to try to jump out of the box and do something different, it's hard for them to do so. And it's really just it's just being honest, it's about resiliency and just mental strength, feeding your mind with the right things, listening to the right things, surrounding yourself with the right people. I was blessed enough, I always say, I may not have had people to support me all the time, but one thing that I have a blessing is I've never had anybody tell me I couldn't do something. And I think it may have been just me, who I am. They knew not to say that to me, but I've never had anyone say, oh, you can't, or whatever. That's never been anything within my circle of people and influence. Never had that. Again, whether they supported me or not, you have to realize everybody's not going to support you in the things that you want to do. But what you want to do, your dreams is yours. And if your dreams is yours, you're going to fight for it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So I just always tell people, if you're at that point where you need something or you want to do something different, don't let the things that happened to you in the past hold you back. That's why it happened in the past. It's in the rearview mirror. You have to look forward always. You have to always be looking forward. You have to always be thinking forward no matter what. And definitely anything that have happened to you in the past negative, use it as the fuel. I use the things that happened, losing my mother, I used it as fuel. I just lost my brother just last year by complications to the pandemic. And I'm just using that as more fuel to do and accomplish the things that I said I was going to accomplish. And that's it. I just say use your negativity, use the negative things that happen in your life as fuel, because that's what I've been able to do. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Mr. Shannon, you're an extraordinary man, and you gave a blessing to a lot of people today. And I thank you for, number one, how you think, and I thank you for that you're willing to pay a price early to be able to learn some lessons, to be able to give these lessons right now to somebody else who probably needed to hear it. So just thank you, man. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for what you do. I know greater things are coming for you and your family, and thank you for blessing us. Everyone has had a chance to take a look at this.
For sure. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. God bless.
Thank you.